We are sick and tired of hearing Don Sweeney talk about Jeremy Swayman in a negative fashion and how this contract is going nowhere. With a recent interview, what he had to say about Jeremy Swayman, the current position of the contract, as well as some previous quotes that he said that the Bruins were going to be active. A lot of people are calling for the firing of Don Sweeney. I'm going to be talking about all of the situation that led up to this in this video, the recent news, what we're going to see coming up from Don Sweeney in this video. Before we get into all of this news here today, we noticed that 70% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. If you're looking for a spot to get all of your Boston Bruins news, you're in the right spot. Hit the sub button, join me here on the channel as we cover everything Boston Bruins related. And I'm with you guys right now. Don Sweeney has not been my favorite guy this summer, and I think that's fair to say from just about every Boston Bruins fan. But what we're seeing, a lot of people are calling for the firing of Don Sweeney. That's what we're going to be talking about here. Is this the end for Don Sweeney? And I know we are all sick and tired of hearing Don Sweeney talk about how there is absolutely nothing coming out of this Jeremy Swayman contract, how the sides are not close. In a recent interview, the quote that he had to say about the current status of this contract has really set many people over the edge. And I had to feature Don Sweeney on the chair in this video because I needed to have him here as if I was speaking to him. And let's get straight into our first little topic here. Mainly the quote. The first quote that we have many here in this video. This is what he had to say. When asked about the current situation, what's going on about the Jeremy Swayman contract, said, kick it down the road, we'll talk with Swayman next week. And I'm not sure if Don Sweeney knows. I don't know if he has his calendar marked. But the preseason and the training camps are starting very soon. Training camp starting in the time of recording this 2 days, September 18th. And we have nowhere near a Jeremy Swayman contract. And this is what Don Sweeney had to say. He says that we're going to talk to him in next week. We're going to see what he has to say in a week's time. You need to get to Jeremy Swayman's agent. You need to get to Jeremy Swayman on a price on something right now. There is no point in waiting where we are right now. We are too close to the beginning of the season to see Jeremy Swayman not be moments away from inking a deal on a eight-year contract with the Boston Bruins. And I will pull up a little bit of text to go off of here, I guess we could say, kind of breaking down what I basically had to say there. The Bruins starting training camp September 18th. Of course, as we know, so Sweeney not having any positive updates regarding Swayman's negotiations is concerning. Unless Swayman and the Bruins can make a sudden serious progress on a new deal, which frankly is not going to be the case if it hasn't already, the original six club could begin training camp without their star netminder, given that the Bruins traded Linus Ullmark this offseason, and not having Swayman for at least a start of training camp would be far from ideal from the Boston Bruins. And we've been discussing this, we've been talking about how, once we get down to training camp, once we get to the start of the season, he'll be here, he'll be ready. He's just trying to hold out for the most money possible. But at this point, this don't seem like a Jeremy Swayman issue. This seems like a Don Sweeney issue. And that's one thing that we cannot afford to have the way this team is built right now. We have some more quotes from Don Sweeney that I will pull up just in a moment here. This is what another article that we had all in the same cover, or few days, I guess we could say is a good way of putting it, in the same kind of heat of the moment of Don Sweeney's hatred coming out on Twitter from many people. It says, with the PTOs being signed more frequently at this stage of the offseason, some have wondered if the Bruins could invite at least one more player to training camp. Yet GM Don Sweeney recently shared a prospect that the prospect of this occurring is low this juncture. Here is what Sweeney had to say to Mark Diver on the matter. And be prepared, once again, there's not going to be a good video about John Sweeney here. I guess we can say we're calling him out. But he said, highly unlikely, but we're going to regroup after this weekend, and we'll see where our health is overall and make a decision then. We've been kind of watching Don Sweeney in this offseason, hoping that we're going to see a few TPTOs. We heard the prospect of Blake Wheeler, Kyler Yamamoto potentially being brought into this team as a little test for the young guys, the young prospects, and Markulov and Lysell, trying to get them to get this in their mind that their prospect or their position on this team is not going to be given. They're still going to have to work for it, and that kind of went out the window. We haven't seen anything about that, so Tyler Johnson is currently the only one. From what we know, Tyler Johnson right now hopefully will make the team. I've been a very big advocate for him to make the team. I think he's a great veteran addition. However, Don Sweeney, this don't come from just this past few weeks or months. This comes from well before the season. I believe on May 22nd, if I'm going to be exact, from another pretty tough situation, I guess we could say. And this is what we have here from Scott McLaughlin. We're going to be aggressive, Don Sweeney had to say, adding pieces to the Bruins this summer. And as I mentioned, May 22nd, we obviously seen a great free agency from the Bruins, adding Elias Lindholm, adding Nikita Zadorov, adding Marchand in that trade via Linus Ullmark, which we're going to have another video on over the next coming days. I'm not sure the exact date, so make sure to tune in for that. However, a lot of pieces going to be added this summer. You added some pretty big pieces, but you haven't done the main thing that everybody has been looking for in Jeremy Swayman. And I still absolutely cannot understand why, at this point, Don Sweeney is not going out of his way to put a contract out there, to put some conversation out there, at least kind of have contact every day. What we're seeing from Don Sweeney at this point seems to be getting out of the way of Swayman, not wanting to bother him, but you have to be able to put a contract out there at any given point. We can't be affording to wait until game one of the regular season to have a contract accepted, or contract offered and then accepted, have Jeremy Swayman go in the first game of the season cold, have Joonas Korpisalo as a starting goalie. You cannot have that, and I cannot stress that enough. And I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think Don Sweeney's waiting for? What do you think he's doing? Why do you think he's waiting on all this? Because to me, right now, even going over it for the past few days, just thinking about it, I have no understanding of why Don Sweeney is waiting as long as he has for this contract. And, I can't say that I've been, putting the blame on Don Sweeney, because I've been heavily putting the blame on Jeremy Swayman. But with everything that's coming out, especially this quote that I mentioned earlier from Don Sweeney that we're going to talk to him later this week, it seems like Don Sweeney is the main problem here, not going out of his way to try and extend a contract. So could it be really Don Sweeney that's been making this whole thing a big issue, or could it have been Jeremy Swayman? Let me know what you think. But we do have a tiny bit of good news, if you want to call it that, here in this video. And this is a quote from Elliot Friedman. The best news for the Bruins is their number one goalie still wants to sign long-term. If anything that you can take away is positive from this, it is this bit of news. I mean, we kind of all have expected it. We hope that it was still going to be the case, and it seems to be. That's what Elliot Friedman is saying. However, there have also been some very big and bad rumors, I guess we could say, from a Boston Bruins standpoint, that Jeremy Swayman could be on the trade block. Now, obviously, I'm taking these with a grain of salt. I absolutely do not believe that, and I think that the Bruins and Swayman still want to rekindle their contract and hopefully their mindsets on this. But this is what we have on this whole trade result, whatever you want to call it. The speculated trade would see Swayman heading to the Colorado Avalanche in exchange for goaltender Alexander Georgiev and defenseman Sam Girard. And I absolutely do not believe this. I don't think that they would have traded Ullmark if this was the case and whatnot, so take this with a grain of salt. But this just goes to show that we're at the point now where people are making up rumors of trades because Don Sweeney and Jeremy Swayman are not close to a contract. I'm not saying the Boston Bruins at this point. I'm saying Don Sweeney. And do you guys think he's the main issue here? And you can see, he's still on the chair. I hope he heard me, because we need to get the voice into his mind somehow that this contract is not going to write itself. So let me know what you think. We have a lot of conversations still to go, and hopefully over the next coming days, we do see something start to progress. Obviously, what Don Sweeney's saying is going to be next week, but we want something right now. So do whatever you can. Put it out into the world. Let Don Sweeney know that this contract needs to get done right now. But that's all I got in this video. Let me know what you think. Obviously, a bit of a rant here, so I do apologize, but I need to get this off my chest. I needed to know what you guys think, because we have a great community here of Bruins fans, and when we got any questions, we can put it out there, we can discuss it, and it is a very great conversation. But that's all I got in this video. If you did enjoy it, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. We're closing in on 4K, and the support has been unreal. That's the best I can put it. You guys have been awesome. But thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.